You're listening to Dravin's Den Radio. This is Open Line. I'm Dravin. Good evening, my friends. In our last episode, we talked about the nature of love. We talked about how love is not just romance. It's attention, patience, courage, humor, knowing when to hold on, and sometimes knowing when to open your hands and let go. But after that episode, another question stayed with me. What happens when we finally find love, but our heart has already lived an entire life before it arrives? What happens when we have loved before? Or at least when we once believed we had. Maybe the love before was real. Maybe it was beautiful. Maybe it changed us. Maybe it ended because people grew apart. Life changed. Timing failed. Or circumstances made staying impossible. Or maybe what we called love before wasn't really love at all. Maybe it was need, attachment, fear, chemistry, loneliness, chaos wearing a nice shirt and introducing itself as destiny. Sometimes it takes years to discover that the relationship we once defended with our entire soul was actually an educational program with an unnecessarily aggressive tuition plan. But either way, we don't arrive at love untouched. We arrive with history. We carry memories, expectations, old promises, old disappointments, things we learned correctly, and a few lessons we may have learned completely wrong. We like to imagine new love as a clean beginning, a blank page, no names in the margins, no old arguments hiding between the lines, no emotional coffee stains from something that happened in 2009. But human beings are not blank pages. We are entire books. Some chapters were beautiful. Some were difficult. Some should probably have included a warning label. But they are still part of us. And when somebody new begins reading, we have to decide what we are going to do with everything already written.
I did a lot of bad things, and never did I give in, just 'cause the thought of being vulnerable made me feel less than I am. I have never felt home till you entered my door.
That was Just One Kiss by Loving Caliber. You're back with Open Line on Dravin's Den Radio. Tonight we're talking about love after the lessons. And I think the first thing we have to admit is that everybody brings something into a new relationship. Some people arrive with a little emotional carry-on baggage. Neatly packed. Everything labeled. Very organized. Others pull up with a moving truck and 17 boxes marked miscellaneous trust issues. Do not open after midnight. Most of us are somewhere in between. But the baggage itself is not necessarily the problem. Having a past does not make someone damaged. It makes them human. The problem begins when the past is allowed to make every decision in the present. Maybe someone lied to you before. Now honesty feels suspicious. Maybe someone abandoned you. Now a quiet afternoon feels like the beginning of another disappearance. Maybe someone controlled you. Now an ordinary question can sound like an interrogation. Maybe affection used to disappear whenever you disappointed someone. So now, even when things are good, part of you is waiting for the conditions to arrive. It's like waiting for the other shoe to drop. And I can tell you from personal experience that every situation, whether it's work or love or friendship, I'm waiting for that other shoe to drop, as the cliche goes. And that completely goes back to my own abandonment issues, which I do have. I'll be honest. And they go back 40 years. But as my age has progressed and my learning has progressed, I learned that not everyone is the same. Not every single person is going to leave you. But honestly, the only way to figure that out is if you give it a chance. I mean, what are your options? Your options are staying wherever you are and never taking a step across that front doormat into the world and taking a risk. Or just doing it, giving it a chance, giving it a shot. And you know what? Yes, there is a chance that you're going to end up disappointed once again. But that's when you got to chalk it up to life. I mean, it is an extremely disappointing world. I'm not going to bullshit you. It is. There are so many damaged people out there. Now, why there are so many damaged people out there, hell if I know. But I have met so many people that are really great at the first chapter. The introduction to the book even. But then once that introduction plays out, or that first chapter plays out, it's almost like they don't know what the hell to do with themselves. They freak out. They're like, wait, we weren't supposed to get to the end of the intro. We weren't supposed to get to the end of the first chapter. Because all of their past, if they went beyond that, it always ended up as a horror story, or it never made it past that first chapter. But when you meet someone that is understanding of everything that you've been through, and they actually recognize that past is past, and they allow that room to get past it. Man, I know that's a scary thing. It is freaking terrifying. I mean, there's a lot of people that would rather face demons and stand in the middle of 95 traffic. At least they could see what was coming. So I think one of the scariest things for a human being in the world is to get in a situation where you have to trust another human being to take care of your heart. But if you don't, then that's when you fall into the cliche, I'd rather be alone. And human beings were not meant to be alone. I've spent a long time alone. And it just... No. A long time ago, there's a buddy of mine named Tom Funk. He looked at me and he said, what are you going to care about in your last 3 minutes? Are you going to care about your bills? Are you going to care about the people that left you behind? What are you going to care about in your last 3 minutes of life? And at the time, I was probably about 23, 24 years old. And I said, Tom, I'm going to care about the mark, if I would be remembered or not, basically. He said, okay. Then you leave everything else. You don't spend any time on it. You don't waste your emotions on it. You spend your life doing just that. Just be a good person. Don't be a jerk. You love everyone. You give them friendship. You don't have to give your 100% trust. You don't have to, give everything to everybody. All you really have to do, just give a smile. Just tell a joke. If you face a bad situation, put your shoulders back, your chin up, you face it. And somewhere in there, there will be people that will recognize who you truly are. Now, there's going to be people that are jealous of the fact that you can be so positive in the face of adversity. But you don't have to carry that with you. You just face each new day. And you give positive energy, just be positive. Say, you know what? Problems are temporary. They are. Whether it's money problems or more psychological problems or all of that. And I've been through a lot of it. And I've also been in survival mode for a long time. Until recently. Where I started taking my own advice. I started taking Tom's advice. You don't have to carry all the crap with you. You can literally make that decision to drop the baggage. Is it always going to affect you? Yes. Is it always going to be a second thought in your mind? Yes. But let the history teach you to ask more questions so that you can better prepare yourself and get better educated about the situation you're walking into. Don't allow your loneliness to lead your way. Because it's very easy to do. I know it is. But always ask questions. If you have any question in the world that you need to ask somebody that you're in some kind of relationship with, whether it's friendship or intimate, if they don't want to answer it, if they're not willing to answer the question, then that's not the person that you need to go forward with. Because any person you get into a relationship with should be, on the same page to where you can ask questions, they can ask questions, and both of you guys can answer it. I mean, that's just my 2 cents. Because maybe affection used to disappear whenever you disappointed someone. So now, even when things are good, part of you is waiting for the conditions to arrive. That is what hurt does. It teaches the nervous system to recognize echoes. You can be sitting across from somebody kind, somebody honest, somebody completely different, while part of you is quietly preparing for them to become the person who hurt you years ago. That doesn't mean you are broken. It means some part of you believes vigilance is the same thing as safety. But you cannot build intimacy while constantly standing guard. You can't hold somebody close while checking them for concealed emotional weapons. At some point, the security screening begins to affect the romance. And this is where honesty matters. Not just honesty with the other person, honesty with yourself. You have to learn to ask, does this feeling belong to what is happening now? Or did this feeling begin somewhere else? Is this person actually giving me a reason not to trust them? Or am I reacting to someone who is no longer in the room? That distinction can change everything.
She don't need promises, she just wants the truth. She brings the calm just like a quiet prayer fills the room. Kisses like Sunday, fights like Friday night. And I'd go to hell and back just to hold her tight. She slips right through my hands and shows up like nothing's changed. Yeah, she's wild when she wants, like she's never coming down. There's a storm in her blood, but I see heaven in her brown eyes. It kills me every time. She don't belong to anyone, but she's a little bit mine. Dancing like no one's watching, barefoot spinning round. A firecracker 4th of July, she's moving at the speed of sound. She makes it look so easy as she walks away. Can't help but wonder what will make her stay. She slips right through my hands chance. Yeah, she's wild when she wants, like she's never coming down. There's a storm in her blood, but I see heaven in her brown eyes. Oh, it kills me every time. Yeah, she don't belong to anyone. She's a little bit mine. Yeah, a little bit mine. Yeah, she's wild when she wants, like she's never coming down. There's a storm in her blood, but I see heaven in her brown eyes. Oh, it kills me every time. She don't belong to anyone. She's a little bit mine. She's a little bit mine. Just a little bit mine.
You're listening to Dravin's Den Radio. This is Open Line. That was A Little Bit Mine by Cave Spring. There are really two different stories we carry into new love. One is the story of having genuinely loved before. Maybe the relationship was healthy. Maybe the person was good. Maybe the love was real and it still ended. That kind of ending is difficult because life doesn't always give us a villain. Sometimes nobody betrayed anybody. Nobody became cruel. Nobody destroyed the relationship in a spectacular display of terrible judgment. Sometimes two people simply grow in different directions. Sometimes distance wins. Sometimes timing wins. Sometimes life changes the rules halfway through. Sometimes illness takes over. Sometimes death takes someone we would have chosen again. And what we do with that love when someone new eventually finds us. I think some people feel guilty. They wonder whether loving again somehow betrays what came before. As though the heart is only allowed one true story. As though opening a new chapter means every earlier page becomes false. But love does not work that way. A new love does not make an old love meaningless. An old love does not automatically make a new love second place. The heart is not a small apartment with room only for one piece of emotional furniture. I mean, it has more space than we understand. But there is a responsibility that comes with that space. We cannot give the past the entire house and expect the person beside us now to live quietly in the hallway. We can honor what was. We can remember. We can admit that somebody mattered. We can carry gratitude for the time we had. But memory needs a proper place. Not on a throne, not locked in the basement. Somewhere honest. A place we can visit without allowing it to run the household. The person we love now should never have to compete with a memory that has been edited by time. Memory is unfair competition. It removes the arguments, softens the imperfections, changes the lighting. It gives the past a soundtrack. Meanwhile, the person in front of us is trying to compete while taking out the trash and asking why there are 4 empty coffee cups on the nightstand. Real people cannot compete with edited memories, and they shouldn't have to. That was I Won't Stop Now by Nikki G. You're back with Open Line. I'm Dravin. The other story we carry is different. It is the story of believing we knew love and later realizing we may have never known something else. Maybe we knew intensity. Maybe we knew obsession. Maybe we knew a relationship that kept us so emotionally off balance that every peaceful moment felt like victory. Maybe we knew what it was like to fight for somebody, but not what it was like to be cared for by them. And that rationalization and realization comes with its own kind of grief. You don't only grieve the person. You grieve the meaning you gave the relationship. You grieve the story you told yourself. The future you imagined. The years you spent believing that if you became more understanding, more patient, less demanding, more forgiving, everything would eventually turn into what you hoped it could be. You look backward and ask, how did I not see it? Why did I stay? Why did I keep believing? Why did I accept so little and call it enough? But I don't think the answer is that you were foolish. I think you were working with the definition of love you had at the time. We all use what we know until life teaches us something different. Because what is life? It's a learned behavior. Everything you know right now, you learned from someone else. How to pick up a fork. How to use a spoon for soup. How to pet a dog or a cat. Where not to pet a dog or a cat. It's all a learned experience. Now, I'm not saying blame the people that taught you. Because ultimately, we are handed, let's just say a deck of cards. Okay, you've never played cards in your life. And someone hands you a deck of cards, and you're looking at them, said, okay, these are, 26, however many damn cards there are. And it's just pieces of paper, basically, with numbers and images on them. And someone says, okay, I'm going to teach you poker. And they deal the cards out, and they tell you, okay, this card is more important than that card, and if you have these 3 cards, that beats these other 3 cards. And if you think about it, that is a lot like life. They hand you this deck that you don't know anything about. And each time you play with a different opponent, they teach you new rules. But you never forget the old rules. You just incorporate them, and eventually you're teaching somebody else an entirely new game, but with the same base rules. I don't know about you, but that kind of makes sense to me. But we all use what we know until life teaches us something better. And life does not always teach gently. Hell no, it don't. It rarely sits you down with a cup of coffee and says, Dravin, I've prepared a short presentation on why this relationship is destroying your mental health. No, hell no. Life usually throws your emotional furniture onto the lawn and hopes you finally notice there is a problem. But shame does not help us learn. Shame only makes us hide the lesson. You do not have to hate the person you used to be for wanting something to work. You do not have to humiliate yourself for believing somebody. And you don't have to pretend every moment was false simply because the relationship ultimately could not survive. A learning experience is not the same thing as a meaningless experience. Your feelings may have been completely real. You may have loved sincerely. But loving someone sincerely does not automatically make the relationship healthy. You can be honest inside something dishonest. You can be loyal inside of something that is slowly breaking you. You can love someone and still be learning a lesson you never wanted to take.
Today's a shadow, it's a dream, haunted by the past. I can't escape the memory. I wanna run, I wanna be there. If I tell you why, in slow motion through a chemical cloud on the floor of the ocean.
That was When Will Tomorrow Come by Ian Luxton. So what happens when somebody finally loves us well? After unhealthy love taught us what to expect. First, we may not recognize it. That is the honest answer. Real love might not feel like anything we have ever known before. It may not make us anxious. It may not make us check the phone every 30 seconds. It may not leave us guessing where we stand. It may not require a weekly emergency meeting just to determine whether relationships still exist. And if chaos is what taught us chemistry, calm can initially feel suspicious. You may wonder where the intensity went, where the chase went, where that knot in your stomach went. I mean, typically they call that puppy love. But the answer is, hopefully, it left. We talk about butterflies as though they are always romantic. Sometimes butterflies are your nervous system saying, this situation appears deeply unreliable. But apparently we find that exciting. Not every surge of adrenaline is destiny. Sometimes it is simply your internal warning system attempting to file paperwork. Real love can feel quieter. Someone tells you the truth the first time. They call when they say they will. They apologize without turning the apology into an argument about your reaction. They ask what you need, and they do not punish you for answering. And part of you waits for that trick. You think, nobody is this kind without wanting something. Nobody communicates as clearly. Nobody listens without saving the information for use for further persecution. And that suspicion makes sense if love used to feel like a courtroom. But a healthy relationship is not supposed to feel like you are constantly presenting evidence for your right to be cared about. Love is not a trial. You are not on probation. You are not constantly being weighed and measured.
When someone don't help you, when someone don't help you through the rain, when feelings don't matter, and everything's nothing but a game. Just know that I'm with you. Just know that I'm with you through it all. And I'm gonna be there whenever you win or if you fall. I know that we will make it through the storm, 'cause you and me been fighters since we were born. It's all over our bodies and hearts. Yeah, you and me been fighters right from the start. Hey, don't you worry. Hey, don't you worry about a thing. You get what you're given, but it's never too late to spread your wings. Oh, I know that we will make it through the storm, 'cause you and me been fighters since we were born. It's all over our bodies and hearts. Yeah, you and me been fighters right from the start. Been fighters right from the start. I see that it's tough now, but trust me, yeah, trust me. I know that we will make it through the storm, 'cause you and me been fighters since we were born. It's all over our bodies and hearts. Yeah, you and me been fighters right from the start. Hey, been fighters right from the start. Been fighters right from the start. Yeah, been fighters right from the start. Been fighters right from the start.
That was Fighters by Stur Zetterberg. You're back with Open Line. One of the hardest parts of real love is learning that we do not always have to earn it. That sentence sounds simple. It isn't. If we spent years believing love had to be earned, we may become uncomfortable when somebody gives it freely. We may overcompensate, overgive, try to become indispensable. We cook, we clean, we fix. We anticipate needs no one has expressed. We volunteer for emotional overtime. And then we quietly resent everyone for not noticing we are exhausted. That does not necessarily mean we are manipulative. It may mean we never learned how to receive. Giving allows us to stay in control. If I'm always the helper, the fixer, the strong one, then I never have to admit that I need anything too. But love is not one person constantly pouring while the other person holds the glass. Real love creates room for both people to give and receive. Sometimes love means showing up for someone. Sometimes love means allowing them to show up for you. That second part can be harder. Letting somebody see you tired. Letting them help. Letting them make dinner even though they have somehow used every pan in the kitchen to create one sandwich. Not correcting the way they load the dishwasher even though their method appears to be an act of domestic terrorism. Receiving love means allowing another person to matter. It means accepting that you cannot control every outcome. They may disappoint you. They may see parts of you that are not impressive. They may discover you are an actual human being and not the extremely competent emotional support structure you have been pretending to be. And then they stay. That can be overwhelming when you have never experienced it.
One day it's over, baby. Someday we'll find a way out. When all our strings are broken, you'll see that we could do without. When all our dreams are over, when all our hopes are dead, with this town turning colder, with all our colors bleeding red, I'll be wrinkled when the storms are hit. I'll sing you any song you wanna hear. Maybe we'll leave tomorrow. Maybe we'll stay a year. Maybe turn joy to sorrow. Maybe you leave me here. Whatever happens when the storms are here, I'll sing you any song you wanna hear. Ooh, 'cause you turn ashes into a place to start. 'Cause you bring heartbeats back to a broken heart again, 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 again. When all our dreams are over, when all our hopes are dead, I'll always be your soldier. 'Cause you turn ashes into a place to start. 'Cause you bring heartbeats back to a broken heart. You bring heartbeats back to a broken heart again. Ooh, again.
You're listening to Dravin's Den Radio. This is Open Line. That was Heartbeats by in situ. And sometimes when we do not trust good love yet, we test it. We pull away to see if the other person will follow. We say we are fine and wait to see whether they notice we are not. We create distance and then become hurt when they respect it. We become emotional game show hosts. Welcome back to another episode of Do You Really Love Me? Tonight's challenge: determine what I am upset about without receiving any useful information whatsoever. And when the other person gets it wrong, we think, there it is. I knew this was not real. But love should not have to survive secret examinations. There is a difference between someone learning who we are and someone being expected to read a language we refuse to speak. Healthy love needs directness. It means saying, I am scared. I need reassurance. Something happened before, and this situation brought the feeling back. I know you are not that person, but part of me is reacting as though you are. That kind of honesty can feel humiliating, especially if vulnerability was once used against us. But the right person does not turn our truth into ammunition. They may not respond perfectly. Nobody does. But they do not punish us for being human. And we have a responsibility too. We have to let their answers count. We cannot ask for reassurance, receive reassurance, and then immediately conclude that it was probably an elaborate, highly coordinated deception. I mean, at some point, trust has to be allowed into the building. Not blindly, not recklessly, gradually. Through consistency, through action, through time.
The further we move on from all those yesterdays, happiness gets nearer. The light that we see closing in so fast ahead, it's hope, it's getting clearer. The more I think of all the tough times we survived, the more it makes me smile. If nothing's broken us, nothing ever will. 'Cause dreams are hard to kill. And I know somewhere's a place where we can build our memories. Somewhere, just hold on tight, it'll be alright. Show me the way.
You're back with Open Line. I'm Dravin. That was Show Me the Way to Somewhere by Melina Stark. There is one more lesson we need to carry into love. Real love is not perfect love. Sometimes people leave something unhealthy and imagine that healthy love will contain no conflict, no frustration, no misunderstandings. No moments where you stare at the person you love and wonder how they have survived this long without understanding the purpose of a laundry basket. But real love still involves two human beings. And human beings are ridiculous. We understand and misunderstand each other. We get tired at the wrong time. We say things badly. We occasionally argue about something that is absolutely not the real issue. The difference is not that conflict disappears. The difference is what happens inside the conflict. We can disagree without becoming enemies. Or can we? Can we tell the truth without becoming cruel? Can we apologize without saying, I'm sorry you feel that way? That is not an apology. That is a public relations statement. Can we return after a difficult moment? Can we repair? Can we learn something? Can both people remain whole? Real love does not require perfection. It requires enough safety for imperfection to be addressed. And that may feel completely new to somebody who learned that every disagreement threatened the entire relationship. You may panic during the first real argument. You may think, this is it. Here it comes. Here's the ending. Drum roll, please. And then the other person comes back. They talk. They listen. The problem gets handled. Nobody disappears. That teaches the heart something new. Conflict does not always mean abandonment. A difficult moment does not automatically mean a broken relationship. Love can bend without breaking.
And every second from that on, girl, you know you've held my poor heart captive.
You're listening to Dravin's Den Radio. That was I Won't Stop Now by Nikki G. This is Open Line. I'm Dravin. In The Nature of Love, we asked what love really is. We said love is attention, patience, courage, humor, knowing when to hold on, and knowing when to let go. Tonight, I think we have finally found the next part of that answer. Love is also what we do with everything that came before it. It's how we carry memory without making memory the ruler of our present. It's how we honor an old love without asking a new love to become its replacement. It's how we accept the lessons of unhealthy love without forcing the person beside us to pay the tuition. We don't ask new love to replace old love. We don't ask peace to imitate passion. We do not ask kindness to prove itself through suffering. We do not make the person standing in front of us compete with somebody who is no longer there. We let this love become its own story. And maybe that is the hardest thing. Because when we have loved before, or believe we did, we know the risk. We know love can end. We know people can change. We know promises can break. We know beautiful things are not guaranteed. And yet, we choose to love again. That is not foolishness. That is courage. Young love can be brave because it does not fully understand what it's risking. Mature love is brave because it understands the risk completely and still opens the door. It says, I know what loss feels like. I know what disappointment can do. I know there are no guarantees. But I also know what life feels like when the heart remains closed. And I do not want to live there forever. So what do we do once real love finds us? We stay present. We tell the truth. We stop making today answer for yesterday. We allow ourselves to receive. We let reassurance count. We learn that peace is not emptiness. Consistency is not boredom. And kindness is not suspicious simply because it's unfamiliar. We forgive ourselves for not knowing then what we know now. And most importantly, we stop treating love arriving later as a consolation prize. It is not second place. It is not a replacement. It is not a corrected version of somebody else's story. It's its own story. Maybe a wiser story. Maybe a calmer story. Maybe one written by two people who understand that love is not just a feeling that brings us together. It's the honesty that allows us to remain ourselves once we get there. Real love may not always feel like falling. Sometimes it feels like arriving. That was Falling Through by Particle House, taking us out tonight. You've been listening to Dravin's Den Radio. This is Open Line. I'm Dravin. Love the person in front of you for who they are, not for how closely they resemble someone who came before. Do not punish today for what happened yesterday. The past has already taken enough. They've rented enough space in your head. And when something genuinely and finally finds you, when love listens, notices, stays present, and makes room for the person you really are, try not to spend the whole relationship waiting for it to become what hurt you. Let yourself learn something new. You do not have to earn every gentle thing. You do not have to suffer to prove devotion. And you do not have to disappear inside of another person to prove that your love is real. Take care of your heart tonight. And take care of the heart that trusts you with its history. That part matters. I thank you for listening to not just the music, but the words. And know that I too am learning. So I don't pretend to teach. Just be kind to one another. Give a true heart a chance, but be vigilant. Don't let your heart do all the talking. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.